Life is hectic, demanding, and doesn't stop. When honest with ourselves, we must confess we often don't know what the hell we're doing. The Larkcast is an ongoing conversation about the inclusive and mischievous nature of God's presence through the lens of all the things that make up this phenomenon we refer to as life. Astonishing grace and refreshing honesty collide right here for your weekly encouragement. And 3, 2, 1, welcome to the Larkcast, my friends. Welcome to the Larkcast. Sorry I missed you last week. It's been a little bit of a trying season, one that's coming to an end. But the truth is, I've been gone for 3 weeks. Yeah, I've been gone from home for 3 weeks with a couple of little quick pit stops home on the weekends to see my family. Yeah, I've been in Ohio, freezing Ohio. I think that should be the name of it. The kind of cold that makes you question your life decisions and your theology. I have to laugh now that I just said that out loud. The reason is I took on a second job training boiler operators. To be clear, not because anything is wrong with Lark or because I'm pivoting from Lark, because I've had a few people ask, but really just because sometimes houses have, or I should say, are in need of expensive repairs. Yeah. Sometimes sinks leak into the foundation of your home, and kitchens and even an accompanying bathroom nearby have to be replaced. And grown men who teach grace have to pay invoices. Yeah. So here's what I didn't want to do. I didn't want the money that people give to Lark. Okay. Money meant to help us create resources, travel, sit at tables, and have conversations that lead people into the freedom Jesus gave. I didn't want that to quietly get swallowed up by drywall and ductwork. No. Now, if people give to help us put the church back around tables of grace, I want it to go to tables, not termites. Yeah. I want it to go to tables, not termites. So on top of Lark, okay, I have taken on a second job. And honestly, I'm thankful. Yeah. Because this part-time job just it doesn't just pay bills. Okay. It puts me in boiler rooms, in classrooms with real people, union guys, skeptics, engineers, atheists, men who don't care about religious branding, but care deeply about what's real. All right. Which brings me to this week and hitting a pause button here after a long day to hop on and record this. The thought came to me as I was driving back after dinner. Had dinner with a new friend who's a professing atheist. Okay, we've had a few rounds, some philosophical conversations, you could say, some political landmines, and the truth is we can both hold our own. But this time something shifted. Yeah. Dinner was calm, human, laughing, right? And doing so fully knowing the other person in front of you. Afterwards, we rode back. We rode back together through what I now call snow-covered Columbus. The windshield was streaked with salt. Everything outside grayscale and cold. And somewhere between red lights and, I don't know, exit ramps, we realized we both love John Prine. Yeah. Which already tells you something about a person. And he mentioned the song In Spite of Ourselves, and I just grinned ear to ear. I said, man, I love it. Not exactly a song you want to play in front of your children, but But as adults, it's definitely something we can really just kick back and laugh at. And there we were, right? Us, two people with strong opinions, fully capable of arguing metaphysics into the ground. And Prine starts singing about a love that survives in spite of ourselves. We didn't talk. We just listened. Silence in the cab of the truck, snow drifting sideways, that line hanging in the air, right? And I told him, I said, I think this might be one of the greatest gospel songs ever. And he looked at me and he smiled and he's like, what do you mean? I said, I feel like it captures the lark of grace in a way that almost no other song does. It's what grace sounds like. I said, it's not sentimental, not polished, just honest about how ridiculous we can be and yet how serious we take ourselves. And yet somehow belonging survives. Belonging survives. Jesus once told a story about a party, okay, that sort of gets at this. A father, right, who throws a feast for his lost son. And if you know the story, then you know about the older brother who's outside and won't go in, right? Arms crossed. He's correct, right? Offended. And the father doesn't argue theology with him. He just says, son, you can find this in Luke 15. You are always with me, and everything I have is yours. That's it. You're with me. Everything's already yours. That's the essence of grace. That that is grace. Not winning the argument, not dragging the older brother into the house, just standing in the cold with him in spite of himself. Somewhere in that silence, right, driving through Ohio, I realized that grace, maybe I should say I realized again, because it's something I have to keep realizing. It's like grace isn't fragile. Grace isn't fragile. It doesn't need me or you to win. It doesn't panic when the conversation gets tense. It's sturdy enough to sit in the truck and let the song play. Yeah. And I just got to say this, perhaps because God has a sense of humor, we literally drove right past a Waffle House and I smiled. Yeah. Bright yellow sign, the parking lot half full, steam on the windows. And the reason I smiled is because I recently wrote a parable about how the kingdom of God is like a Waffle House at 2:37 a.m. I'm finding that stories oftentimes accomplish something that explanation just can't. Hard lesson. It goes like this. The lights hum. The floor's sticky. The menu hasn't changed in 40 years, and neither has the promise. Hot food, no questions, anytime. Inside are people who didn't plan to be together. A night shift nurse running on fumes, a couple who just fought their way through a breakup, a truck driver who's been awake too long, a college kid with mascara streaked down her face, a guy who smells like regret and cheap cologne, and someone who wandered in because everywhere else was closed. No one checks credentials. No one asks how your week went, unless they actually want to know. No one stands at the door to see if you qualify for syrup. You sit where there's space. You offer what you can afford. You get the same plate as everyone else: eggs, bacon, hash browns, coffee that never runs out. And the woman behind the counter doesn't deliver a sermon, she delivers food. She calls you hun, not because she's trained to, but because she's been doing this long enough to know that most people who show up at this hour are hungry for more than calories. No one's pretending here. No one's performing. No one's curating a version of themselves worthy of a seat. It's just bodies that need feeding, stories that spill without being managed, silence that's allowed, laughter that sneaks up unexpectedly. And here's the thing: nobody leaves saying, wow, that organization, man, it really runs a tight program. No. Now they leave saying, I didn't know how much I needed that. That's communion, not polished, not sacred because it was quiet, but something that's sacred because it was honest. Bread broken without a microphone, coffee poured without an agenda, a table that doesn't ask you to become someone else before you sit down. And this is what undoes what's been sadly labeled church. Because the formalized church learned to ask, are you ready? Are you clean? Are you committed? Are you improving? The list goes on. But grace, yeah, grace asks one question: are you hungry? Are you hungry? The Waffle House, no one confesses before they eat. And somehow, mysteriously, that's what sobers them up. That's what steadies their hands. That's that's what lets the truth come out. People don't find relief because they were instructed well. They find relief because they were fed. Turns out the kingdom isn't like a temple with guards and procedures. It's like a table that's still open when everything else is shut down. A place where the food is simple, the grace is reckless, and the only requirement is showing up empty. Blessed are the ones who stop mistaking the sanctuary for the kitchen and finally sit down where the food is already hot. Yeah. Yeah. The parable of the Waffle House. It's meant something to me lately in a season that's been a little bit tiring, very busy, long hours, but yet still rejoicing, still leaning into the conversation, and still being surprised by the God who's already made his home in everyone, no matter what. Yeah. Yeah. Well, until next time, my friends. Until next time. Cheers.